I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Velocity Work Podcast, episode number 103. This podcast is for attorneys who are running their own firms. We explore tactics, tools, and stories related to pushing past simply lawyering well and into building a successful firm. Working in your firm and working on your business are two very different things. This podcast focuses on the latter. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of the Velocity Work Podcast. Today, we are going into the second batch of lessons from the June sprint, and these come from the participants. If you listened to last week's, I did an intro to this mini series of sprint lessons learned. And today is all about honoring the plan and the lessons that came from the sprinters about honoring their plan. And you have to realize when they give their lessons, they don't categorize them. They just give the lesson that feels relevant. I basically have a new spreadsheet I set up and take all the ones that I want to share and dump them into categories. And I look for themes. Naturally, the themes that tend to rise up are making plans and honoring the plans. And then there's always this batch of miscellaneous lessons that don't quite fit into a theme, but they're important and they're so valuable. So anyway, we are sharing the second batch of lessons with you today, and it is all about honoring the plan. If you're interested in being a participant in the September sprint, enrollment closes on August 15th unless we fill up sooner. So you could go to velocitywork.com/sprint and get the scoop, see if there's still space available, then get yourself enrolled. I can't wait to work closely with you. Okay, let's jump into the lessons for honoring the plan. The first one, if you get off track, still do something even if it's small. This can be the difference maker in how you feel about how you showed up in the day. Maybe you weren't able to because something came up that you couldn't have planned for. You weren't able to get everything done that you wanted to towards this result that you're working towards. But how can you do something even if it's small? Just one turtle step. You will feel so much better about the day and about your progress than if you do nothing. And that can look like firing off an email to get the ball rolling with something, making a phone call. Maybe there's just opening up some documents and getting them ready so that when you do sit down tomorrow to work on them, you don't have to do any prep at all. Like there's something small, a small step you can take that is meaningful towards getting this thing done. When I'm stuck, I need to go for a walk or exercise because I gain clarity. I put this in here because I think there's times where we're beating our head against a wall and we just keep beating our head against the wall. What I have found and what this participant was noticing for themselves is that it's best to get up. Get up and move your body. There's something about changing your state that will help unlock something in your brain, and you'll probably have a moment where a solution comes or there's an answer that you couldn't quite get around or you couldn't quite figure out. But it doesn't happen by sitting there and staying with it. There's a point of diminishing returns, and you got to kind of realize when you're stuck and you feel like you're beating your head against a wall, get up. Because even if you can go move your body for 5 minutes, go take a walk around the block, go do some push-ups, whatever it is, but clear your mind, do some breathing exercises, do something to change your internal state and get your body revved up in a way that helps. It helps immensely. So I love that this was a lesson. Remember the feeling when you honor the commitments you make with yourself. It feels good and it's a better way to operate. You know, I did a podcast on pride, making yourself proud, feeling pride on purpose. I did that for that 100th episode. And this is what it reminds me of. That feeling when you honor the commitment that you make with yourself is so good. There's it's up there for me with other emotions that feel so good. So love feels really good to experience as an emotion. Pride is, for me, right behind that, just this self-pride. And so that feeling when you honor the commitments that you make with yourself, it feels good and it's a better way to operate. It's just true. In that episode I talked about, there's certain clients that have really wrapped their heads around this. They get it. And they know that feeling state, if they are in that feeling state consistently, they know they're on to big things. And so this person that gave this lesson is one of those. It's really wrapped their heads around this and understands it. In all tasks in life, sometimes resistance gets in the way and tells you that you can't do something. But if you push through, you'll be proud of yourself. So again, with the pride, right? There's something to this, guys. Taking a break to reflect, especially mid-sprint, helps me be grateful for what you have and to refresh your outlook on your work. I put this in here because when you're honoring the plan, it is absolutely appropriate to have a day where instead of tackling the next thing, you actually deliberately take some space to look at how far you've come, what you have left. It's like just getting your bearings again, raising your gaze a bit, and it helps you feel good about the progress that you've made, and you're certain about exactly where you're headed, and you can sink back into the work. That is 100% okay, and I encourage it. So in mid-sprint, oftentimes participants will do that, where they'll just take a day and say, today, I'm going to kind of have a look at the progress I've made and what I have left and assess. The more I plan and follow through, the easier it gets. It's just like any other skill. The more I practice it, the better I get. So true. It's a practice. Having a plan gives me something to stick to when the motivation from the beginning of the project wanes. It doesn't matter if I'm motivated or not, if I stick to the plan. The reason I loved this one so much is because the motivation will wane. You have to count on that. And the skill is showing up to do what you said you were going to do no matter what. So if you have a plan, you've already said, this is what I'm going to do. These are the steps of the project. These are the things that I'm going to honor. And so when it comes time and it's your scheduled time to do those things, you just do it. That's the skill, is being able to overcome the urge to not do it because you're not motivated. You'd rather do something different. It feels more important in the moment. All of that. You lose sight of the importance of delaying gratification instead of giving into the gratification at the moment. It is a skill. So that's when this person is saying, having a plan gives me something to stick to when the motivation wanes. If you don't have a plan, you're screwed. It's so hard to stay on course and on track without a plan because your motivation will wane, and it's so much more work to figure out your next steps instead of just knowing, at least generally speaking, what the small steps are that you need to get done. When I'm in the middle of executing my plan, I should expect to feel the urge to do something impulsive. I need to recognize when I'm feeling that way and stick to my plan anyway, because that's the only way big things get done. Amen. Urgency is quite often a sign of poor planning. The better I get at planning, the fewer urgent things happen. Yes, that is true. There's a difference between how long it takes to do something and how long it takes to get something done. Delay is doom. So actually, the participant's original lesson was just the first part, where there's a difference between how long it takes to do something and how long it takes to get something done. And as he explained what he meant by that, if I just did this thing, it would take me 30 minutes. But because I delay it, it actually takes me a week to get something done that really should only take 30 minutes. So we're talking through that, and delegation could be an option for things, some things, and other things not, right? But it's still about scheduling the time for it, and that way it isn't delayed. And that means maybe it would only take you 30 minutes, but it's Monday. You're going to schedule time on Friday for it. It's just not urgent. So you'll get to it, and it'll get taken care of. But what he's saying is when he doesn't plan for those things, and in the back of his mind, it just takes no time. It doesn't take much time at all, so he'll get it done. But he hasn't scheduled time for it. Then he just kicks the can down the road. So he basically said there's a difference between how long it takes to do something and how long it takes to get something done. That's what he meant. And I'm sure all of you can relate to that. I loved it. I can relate to that. There was another participant who was listening that was like nodding his head, yes, like you can't delay. And he spoke up and said, delay is doom. It creates the list of woe. And we all just laughed. That's what he calls it. He has the list of woe, which are things that he's put off. And now they're stacked up on top of his next week. And he's practicing Monday Maps. So he's getting better at this. His list of woe is decreasing, but I thought that was great. Sticking to the plan on ordered days helps me train the muscle to stick to the plan when unexpected things happen. This is true. You should really take advantage when you are practicing this of being very disciplined in terms of doing what you said you were going to do that day, because there's going to be days that don't feel that structured and ordered. There's going to be things that fly at you that you didn't anticipate. And on those days, because you've practiced when things are ordered, it's going to be easier to show up and do what you said you were going to do and not be reactive on those days where things just pop up. You'll be able to hold a sense of control and not just react to things. And so then if something does pop up, you know how to look at it and you know to rearrange some things because you're very used to honoring a plan. So you just adjust the plan so that then you can honor it. Okay, and the last one, this was another one that I wasn't sure if I should put in miscellaneous or if I should put in honoring the plan category. It's sort of a mix of both, but I'm going to add it here. And here's the lesson. When I feel friction on something, stop and ask myself if somebody else can do it. This is all about delegation, right? And using your brain to think high level about what you actually need to do and what somebody else could do. Because it's delegation related, it could have been in the miscellaneous category. However, it's your job to pay attention when you're honoring the plan and be smart as you're honoring the plan to see, are you doing something as part of the plan and that you're showing up for? Actually, somebody else could take care of that piece and then you could work on something else. So I felt like it does kind of belong in honoring the plan because as you're executing, your job is to stay very aware of what you can delegate so that it frees you up so that you can use your time for the things that only you can do. All right, everybody, that's it for the lessons learned of honoring your plan for the month of June. That's what I selected. There's so many, and there's so many good ones. But I chose these. I thought these would be a strong sample for you and things that you can take and run with. I'm certain that one of the lessons in each of these episodes will stand out to you more than others for some reason. Take that one lesson and run with it. You don't have to implement every lesson or take something away from every lesson that I've shared, but take what resonates and really do something with it. Don't just use these episodes as consumption. Don't just use these episodes as passive listening and then you don't really take any action from it. That would be a waste of your time. There's so many good nuggets here that you could run with, so do so. All right, everybody, have a beautiful week. I will see you here next Tuesday. Hey there, if you enjoyed this podcast, I highly recommend you come and check out Mastery Group. It is where owner attorneys come together to study this material, apply it, and thus create really big results for their firm and for their life. So come on over, velocitywork.com/join to get more information and get started. Show notes from this episode can be found at velocitywork.com/podcast.